As someone with multiple videos about this game, I want to start by saying UFO 50 was never going to disappoint me. Derek Yu, the creator of Spelunky, a game that changed my life in 2020, getting together with his friends and making 50 games was a concept that was made for me. I have waited 8 years for this monster of a game, and now that I've played it for over 50 hours, I can definitively say basically nothing, since I've barely scratched the surface of it. But what I can do is give my thoughts so far on this massive game collection. UFO 50 is a collection of retro-style games for a fictional piece of hardware from the 80s made by the company UFO Soft. The games range from short arcade games to a full-featured JRPG. I spent the last 2 weeks trying every game in the collection, and while some of the games didn't click for me immediately, I have grown to appreciate the slot every game fills in this fictional console's library. Every game has a place, separating itself visually and mechanically from any of the other games. Even the sequels, yes, there are sequels, distinguish themselves as unique entries and change up just about everything from the previous game or games in the series. Every game has 3 completion goals: a gift for your house on the menu, which usually consists of beating an early objective in the game, a gold disc for beating the game and getting credits, and a cherry disc for doing something above and beyond, like getting 100% or beating the hard ending. The challenge to get every cherry disc is going to be insane, for even the most experienced players. Here are some stats. After 50 hours, I have 20 gifts, 10 gold discs, and only 2 cherry discs. I can't even give you an estimate of how long it will take to get all the cherries, since it doesn't give you the details until you've gotten the gold. Alright, I'm getting into the weeds on this completion stuff. What can I say? I like a hard completion challenge. But as far as my thoughts on the actual games go, I don't even know where to begin. Should I start by saying that Porgy is a brilliant SteamWorld Dig-esque Metroidvania? Or talk about how Bug Hunter is a brain-melting grid-based tactics game where you are always one move away from a game over? Or maybe I should talk about the 25 multiplayer games in here. I simply can't talk about every game in this review, so I'll be putting out my thoughts on all 50 games in a massive video tomorrow. Subscribe for that. But what I will say here is that there is something for everyone. Whether you want to drill down and speedrun a game for the next 2 years, or simply dabble in all 50 games for 30 minutes, you are sure to find something to enjoy. There's a 10 to 20 minute long arcade racer, a multi-hour point-and-click adventure game, a Metroidvania with a VVV style gravity flip. The amount of variety on display is truly something. I personally find myself drawn to the big games with a continue feature, organized under the category on the main menu, Epic Play. But the arcade games that brutally send you back to the start of the game are great to play in short bursts. Speaking of brutal, some of these games are tough. So tough, I found myself saying, wait, are they serious? Many times. Campanella 2, a procedurally generated game where you control a small UFO with limited fuel, as well as the pilot of the ship Isabel in on-foot segments, is not afraid to send you right back to the main menu with the slightest error in movement. That's not to say every game in here is for masochists. Night Manor, the point-and-click adventure game I just mentioned, has no real fail state, with the challenge being derived entirely from how good you are at combining household objects to solve obtuse puzzles, as the genre is known for. And I found the games with a save feature to be generally more approachable, simply because you aren't tasked with playing the whole game in one burst. I don't want to linger on it too much, since I generally love most of the collection, but there are a few games that haven't clicked with me yet, and I want to emphasize the yet, because even with 50 hours played, some of these I've only scratched the surface of, with 20 to 30 minutes played. To give you a specific example, Combat Ants, I genuinely think I might be missing something, because it really wasn't very fun to play, and with there being minimal tutorials and no manual, I can't quite figure out what I'm missing. It's an RTS style game where you control the lead ant To create more units, you have to feed your queen, but I was struggling to get my workers to deliver the food on their own when the game makes it seem like they should. With this, I could see my opinion flipping on it if I can simply get over the initial hurdle and figure out the thing with the game, but I wanted to at least mention it and say, hey, this is 50 video games. If you find yourself bouncing off something early on, just move on to the next one and find something you do like. And what every game does do well universally is music and graphics. This game has some of the best pixel art I've ever seen, and the sheer variety of it can only be described as absurd. I found myself falling in love with the lizards and divers simply because of this minimal cutscene you see every time you restore your HP. And I even stopped playing for a couple hours to make a 3D render of Porgy, the little yellow submarine that could. The stories are told with minimal dialogue, but the worlds they create in your imagination are immense, and in this sense, they really do capture the essence of what made early gaming so magical. The fan art is going to be crazy, and actually, it already is. A couple people from the Discord have already begun creating art based on every game, leading up to release. I know that the games being difficult, retro, and minimalistic might put some people off, but I want to emphasize that the games carry a lot of modern design with them. The Metroidvanias don't suffer from endless hallways full of nothing. The point-and-click adventure game doesn't lock you out for missing a sandwich, and the RPGs are intuitive and easy to pick up. All of this, and the games don't have manuals. Simply listing the controls and asking you to experiment and figure it out most of the time, which is fun in and of itself. And I should also mention that all of these games are played with a D-pad and 2 buttons only, with Start being reserved for returning to the collection. I mentioned earlier in the review that half of the collection can be played multiplayer, and while they are local only, I did get with my friend 3,000 miles away to test out how well Steam Remote Play would work. And obviously, depending on your connection, I can pretty confidently say it works great. There are co-op games, sports games, a Towerfall-esque fighting game, and Waldorf's Journey. Quite possibly the greatest and funniest multiplayer video game ever made, and I'm only being a little sarcastic. You should get a friend and have a few multiplayer sessions with UFO 50. With remote play being as smooth as it is, and many of the multiplayer modes being totally unique from the single player, you really owe it to yourself to see them. Alright, let's talk about secrets. Mossmouth's previous games are famously known for them, and this one is no different. The main menu has a terminal to enter 8-character codes. Games feature Easter eggs and references to other games in the collection. Games have secret endings, yet even after 50 hours, I haven't found a single code to enter. I know post-release we will be unpacking it layer by layer, but for now, I unfortunately can't really tell you how deep it goes. Though that's part of the fun, isn't it? And one of the highlights for me has been the in-universe lore that is sprinkled throughout the game. You have fictionalized credits at the end of each game and a few words about the history of each game right on the menu, fleshing out a world where this company was innovating in the 80s, building out a library for this console that evolves over the years. If you play the games in order of release, you'll find an evolution in graphics, sound, and gameplay. Games become more varied and complex over the years, with one of the later ones, Pilot Quest, using the console's in-game clock to make a Zelda-style exploration game limited by an idle game's resources. And the last game in the collection, featuring minimal voice acting.
Mission failed!
As I'm writing this review, I find myself constantly wanting to mention 5 more games in each paragraph, spilling every detail about each one because I'm simply excited. Excited to tell people about these games. Excited to discuss discoveries and personal accomplishments. Excited to compete for high scores with my friends, and I genuinely don't think I could ask for more out of a game. UFO 50 is everything I wanted and much, much more. If you're on the fence at all with this game, I really encourage you to see it for yourself. You don't need nostalgia for the era, you don't need to enjoy hard games, you don't need to be partial to a specific genre. This game really does have something for everyone, and I have to give it a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching this review, really the first one I've ever truly written, and I had a lot of fun with it. Make sure to subscribe for all the upcoming UFO 50 videos. I'll have guides, how to get secrets once we know what they are, and I'll also be doing speed runs of the games over on Twitch, so follow me there too.